before we start, I will just give a brief introduction on what the program is about. The program is run in an Asian country, and it consists of 3 merchant members, a petrol, grocery and fast food merchant chains. Our manager Jennifer was assigned to the task to help assist in this program, and her role was to expand the program to new customers, to keep the existing customers and to recommend any beneficial recommendations. So to assist her, we came up with one managerial question, which is which segments or segments of customers should we invest in to expand the loyalty program to? And in order to answer this manageable question, we came up with 3 research questions, which is which segment of customers has the highest satisfaction score, which segment of customers is the most loyal to the program, and which segment of customers is the most valuable to the program. So now we will just look at what data we have. So first we collected 1,995 samples in total. We did identify and remove 85 outliers based on the purchase frequency and the purchase amount data. And we also used the data from Net Promoter Score, whether they are active in 2016, and the overall satisfaction of the program. When it comes to segmenting the customers, we first segment customers based on demographic factors. However, once we run the multiple regression analysis, we realized that overall the equation is significant. However, when it comes to the individual demographic factors, most except for one of them are actually insignificant. So what we did was we segmented the customers based on the frequency, so the number of sales, and the average amount spent. And we came up with 4 segments. In group 1 and 2, both of them have less than 50 transactions, and in group 3 and 4, both have more than 50 transactions, more or equal to 50 transactions. And now we will look at research question 1, and I will pass on to Billy.
So I will continue to talk about the research question 1. Which segment of the customer has the highest average satisfaction score? The data we need to answer this question is the satisfaction in the whole program and the satisfaction between the 3 merchants as the petrol, grocery, fast food. And we use the ANOVA test to see the significant difference in the view of the satisfaction in the different segments, and also we determine which segment has the highest average satisfaction score. So this is the result of the ANOVA test between 4 segments and satisfaction of the loyalty program. We can see that it is the significant difference in the 4 segments. And we have the segment 4 have the highest average satisfaction score at the 9.4, but it is the smaller population. With the segment 1, it has the lowest average satisfaction, but it is the largest population. So we move to the result of the petrol and the grocery merchant. Both will have the segment 4 will have the highest average score, and the segment 1 is the lowest average score. But surprisingly, the fast food merchant, the segment 1 will have the highest average score. So about our recommendation, first we must if we choose one segment to invest in, we think we maybe invest in the group 1, because when we checking the correlation between the satisfaction in the petrol with the satisfaction of the program, we see that the satisfaction in the petrol have the high correlation with the program. So if we invest in the petrol, so it might be influence to the satisfaction of the program. The second recommendation is the retainer group 4, because they are the biggest and the most frequency spender. And secondly is they are the most loyal customer, because our retention rate is 100%. And yeah, next we move to the research question 2.
For research question 2, we are investigating in which segment of customers is the most loyal to the loyalty program. So we utilize 2 variables. The first one is Net Promoter. So Net Promoter is basically the likability of a customer to recommend the loyalty program to others. So if we have a really good score on this means that the customer will be really likely and willing to spread positive word of mouth to their friends and families, and will be very beneficial to the expansion of the loyalty program. And also we utilize another variable, which is active 2016. This indicates that whether the customer that was active in 2015 is still active in 2016. And for doing that, we ran 2 separate ANOVA tests for each of the variables to see if there is a significant difference in the average promoter score and active 2016 rate among all 4 segments.
For the ANOVA test, we have found the difference is significant since the p-value is less than 0.05, and from the 4 segments, we have also found the segments who purchase more and spend more has the highest net promoter scores. That provides us an evidence that people who purchase more and spend more are more willing to share this program to other their friends. And let's move to next. And from the ANOVA test related to active rate, we also found that segment 4 also has the highest retention rate in 2016, and that also provides that the customers who purchase more and who spend more are the most loyalty to our program. And according to our multiple regression results, we also found that the satisfaction rate with fast food and the satisfaction rate with petrol can contribute more to our net promoter rate scores. As we can see from the formula, one increment of satisfaction in fast food can lead to 0.72, while the one increment in the satisfaction of grocery only leads to 0.018. As a manager, therefore, as a manager, based on the evidence we have proved, it's more efficient to invest more on improving satisfaction food, and then to improve the satisfaction petrol, to improve the net promoter score, and then we need to maintain the segment 4 and segment 3 because this kind of groups are the most loyalty to our program, and after that we shall spend time to increase the loyalty of the segment 1 and segment 2. Next, let's move to the question 3.
So for research question 3, we're actually going to look at which segment of customers is the most valuable to the program. The methodology we used actually is to first of all calculate the redemption points. So initially it's the total redemption point for each segment. Then we calculated the total sales amount for each segment. Then we actually looked at the retention rate, which is how likely the customer is to remain with the loyalty program. It was actually given per year, the initial year. Then we calculated the customer lifetime value. This is the total lifetime value of a customer in a particular segment. The assumptions we made is actually starting off with the discount factor. So the amount of discount we will actually offer. So we actually used different numbers, so ranging from 10% to up to 20%, going up in increments of 2% each time. Then we assumed that the cost, which actually included the total cost, the initial cost, and the use of redemption dollars all calculated together. Then next one is the A part of the calculation, which is the acquisition cost, which is the set amount of dollars spent by the company to acquire a single customer. Then is the retention rate. So, which is, we actually assumed certain level of retention rate for each year going forward. So it could range from 95% down to 60% going in 5% increments. We actually also used the simulation control. So this is actually, we actually achieved this through scroll bars. So obviously the discount control and the retention control, like we mentioned, it can go from 95% down to 60% and from 10% up to 20%. But another two categories we added is the revenue control. So as the years go along, we assume that the revenue could increase or decrease in each segment. So that can be adjusted from 0% up to 200%. Assuming within 10 years it can only change up to 200%. Redemption dollars is we can also assume that the dollar amount used by the customers can actually decrease or increase. So we also did that up from 0 to 200%. So what we did first is calculate the CLV for the segment 1, which is actually, so you can see that the calculations we made, we actually got the revenue from the previous slides, and then the calculated amount was actually $1,256,941 points. This is for the segment 1, which is actually, so the frequency is less than 50 and the average spend amount is less than 35. So the next segment we calculated, it turned out to be 384,783 points, which is significantly less than the segment 1. The third one is actually a surprise that we actually got, which is a frequency over 50 and spend amount less than 35. Which was surprising because we only had 166 customers, but it actually scored fairly high, almost equal or close to the first segment, which has about 1,500 customers, which scored about 872,666 points. Segment 4 was the least, but it's no surprise because there was only 25 customers, which scored 198,045 points. So what we did here lastly is actually calculate the CLV for individual customers. So this way we can actually get an accurate reading of exactly how many points is spent on each customer. So in segment 1 we actually found out that dividing this total CLV by the number of customers, we got 824 points per customer. Segment 2 we got 1,933, sorry. Segment 3 we got 5,420. Segment 4 we got the highest, 7,921. It's quite obvious that there's increase as the segments progress due to the amount of money they spend and how frequent they visit and use the loyalty program. It's quite obvious that the more you use it, the more value they create to the customer, to the program. And we also assumed a certain rate. In this case, we actually calculated 14% discount rate and a retention rate of 90%.
As a conclusion, we'll talk about the limitations and the recommendations we have in this research study. So for the limitations first, is the segment size. As we mentioned above, we segmented our customers into 4 respective segments. However, segment 1 is the biggest one with 1,525 members, while segment 4 is the smallest one with only 24 samples basically. So with this unequal number of samples across segments, it might cause some inaccuracy in the analysis results that we have. And our second limitation is that for the outliers. So we removed a total of 85 outliers from the 1,995 samples that we have, and most of them are from group 4. So with the removal of the outliers, it might have impact on the analysis, especially for group 4. And next we talk about the loyalty. So we calculated the loyalty score based on the active 2016 variable. However, the inactivity in 2016 may not only be due to that they are not loyal to the program anymore. It could be due to other factors. Let's say the family is in financial crisis, or the family status is changing, or the economy was not working well in that year. There could be all sorts of reasons. But if we're doing that, we're only using that for the loyalty, so that could be one of the shortcuts. And last but not least, talking about the customer lifetime value calculation. And because the actual discount factor in real time is unpredictable, that we do not know, and also the cost to acquire the customers are really unpredictable as well, as we assume the cost of the CLV calculation as the redemption rates, as the redemption points that we have. The actual cost could be even larger. So it could include, say, advertising costs or other overhead costs that the company is generating. So it could be more. And these are all the limitations. And let's now move on to what recommendations we have to help the manager solve the problem. So first, we would suggest to retain group 4. So group 4 is really the smallest segment, but it is the segment that is spending the most time and the most money with the loyalty program. So it's really important to maintain the satisfaction level and let them keep spreading positive word of mouth with the high net promoter scores, to let them keep recommending the program to other customers, so we can expand the market basically through them, and they have a really positive impact on the program. So another suggestion is where to invest. So this is basically the most important thing the manager needs to focus on to expand the loyalty program. So investing in group 1 means that the manager probably should allocate more resources, more money, more budgets to the larger segment, group 1, to improve the satisfaction score and the loyalty score, because as the previous analysis we've shown, they have really low satisfaction to the loyalty program, and their loyalty score is not as expanded as what we expect. So we probably should, let's say, for example, we can give them some starter off benefits. So we can give them, let's say, double their points that we receive on their loyalty account for the first time purchases. So we encourage them to spend more money and purchase more frequently with the store, so they will remain more loyal to the store. And also, because we realize that net promoter score is really an important skill for the company. So we can offer programs like refer a friend. Let's say the customer referred the loyalty program to a friend, and the friend does register under the name and has been using it. So the customer will have 1,000 points directly into his or her account, and the friend will have 1,000 points into his or her account as well. So it will be a good way to encourage positive promotion. As a conclusion for this research study, although segment 1 is the biggest segment, but it has really low satisfaction rate to the loyalty program, and the loyalty score to the program is not expected as well. So as this is the biggest segment, it is really important to invest more money on it and to boost the satisfaction score and the loyalty score they have, and try to move them from the segment 1 customer to more like a segment 3 or segment 4 customers who are who are frequent purchasers, who are frequent shoppers, and who are willing to spend a bit more than the others. And for segment 3 and 4, although like they are very small segments compared to 1 and 2, but they do have a really good loyalty score and they really satisfy with the loyalty program. So although we try to invest in groups like 1 and 2, we cannot forget about 3 and 4, which are the groups that do spend very frequently with us and do spend a lot of money with us. So for these 2 segments, it's really important to maintain their loyalty and make sure that they do spread positive word of mouth. Okay, then here above is our research study. Thank you guys for watching.